The invisible enemy of success. I didn't understand it at first, why I worked harder than everyone else, gave more than I had, read more books, and stayed up later. Yet I was still stuck, still broke, still chasing shadows while others soared. It gnawed at me. I would lie in bed at night and ask myself the same question over and over. What am I doing wrong? It wasn't until I read Napoleon Hill that the answer finally emerged. Not like a lightning strike, but like a whisper I had heard all along but never truly listened to. The truth? Most people fail not because they don't work hard. They fail because they don't think. Yes, you heard me right. They move, but they don't think. They react, but they don't reflect. They chase, but they never question what they're chasing. And this is the invisible enemy of success. Hill's teachings are crystal clear about it. He said, "An educated man is not necessarily one who has an abundance of general or specialized knowledge. An educated man is one who has developed the faculties of his mind that he may acquire anything he wants, or its equivalent, without violating the rights of others." That sentence alone changed the way I viewed the world. I realized I wasn't truly using my mind. I was using my emotions, my instincts, my habits, but not my ability to think accurately and independently. And that's when it hit me. 90% of people are living on autopilot. They're making decisions based on fear, not reason. They're following the crowd instead of creating their own path. They're existing, not living. Let me ask you this. Have you ever found yourself working a job you hate, convincing yourself you're just being responsible? Have you ever stayed in a relationship that's slowly killing your spirit because it's what people expect? Have you ever talked yourself out of chasing your dream because you were afraid of failing? That's the trap. That's the mind virus Napoleon Hill warned us about. And it has a name: drifting. Drifting is the silent killer of purpose, the slow decay of dreams, the disease of average. Hill says that drifters are those who have no definite purpose in life. They just float, from job to job, day to day, year to year, until one day they look back and realize they've wasted the one thing they can never get back: time. I was a drifter once, not because I didn't have talent, not because I didn't have ambition, but because I didn't have clarity. I didn't know what I wanted. And if you don't know what you want, someone else will decide it for you. The world is full of people who will sell you a dream you never asked for, a job you didn't choose, a lifestyle you don't need, a version of success that doesn't feel like success. And here's the worst part: you'll accept it. You'll tell yourself it's good enough. You'll suppress the voice inside that's screaming for more. Why? Because that's what 90% of people do. But not you. Not anymore. Hill taught us that the first step to breaking free from this prison is to develop a definiteness of purpose. He called it the starting point of all achievement. Without it, you're a ship without a rudder, lost in the ocean of life. I remember the first time I sat down and truly asked myself, what do I want from life? Not what society expects, not what my parents told me, not what Instagram says is cool. What do I want? It was one of the hardest questions I'd ever asked, because answering it meant I had to stop lying to myself. Here's a truth many can't handle. Most people don't know what they want because they've never given themselves permission to dream. They've been told their whole life to be realistic, to get a safe job, to not rock the boat, to color inside the lines. But as Hill said, whatever the mind of man can conceive and believe, it can achieve. The problem is, most people never even try to conceive. They don't give themselves permission to want more. They think wanting more makes them selfish or arrogant. But let me tell you something. Settling is not humility. It's fear in disguise. Think of the most successful people you know. They're not necessarily the smartest. They're not always the most talented. But they are crystal clear about one thing: what they want. They have a definite chief aim. They have a mission. And everything else in their life serves that mission. That's not selfish. That's called living with intention. So ask yourself today, what do I want more than anything else? Why do I want it? What am I willing to give in return for it? This is the mental blueprint Hill talks about. This is how you shift from being a drifter to becoming a thinker, a creator, a builder, a leader. It's time to take your power back. The real reason 90% of people fail isn't because they're lazy or unlucky. It's because they never stopped long enough to ask, is the path I'm on even mine? They confuse movement with progress. They confuse busyness with purpose. But you're different. You're here because something inside of you refuses to settle. Because your soul knows you were made for more. Because you're ready to do what most won't. Think. And that's where transformation begins. Think and Grow Rich isn't just a book title. It's a commandment. It's a philosophy. It's a roadmap. But you have to start with thinking, not wishing, not hoping, not scrolling motivational quotes. Real thinking, deep thinking, bold thinking. The kind that tears you apart and puts you back together stronger. In the next chapter, we'll uncover the second biggest mistake 90% of people make, the lie they tell themselves every single day, and how Napoleon Hill's strategy of burning desire can destroy that lie forever. But for now, remember this. If you're willing to think for yourself, you're already ahead of 90% of the world. The lie that keeps you poor. There's a lie that almost everyone believes. It's silent, dangerous, and disguised as wisdom. It hides behind phrases like, be realistic. Maybe it's not meant for me. Some people are just lucky. But this lie is more deadly than poverty. It's more limiting than a lack of education. It's the reason 90% of people stay stuck, broke, and unfulfilled. What's the lie? I can't. That's it. Two words that destroy more dreams than failure ever could. You may not say them out loud, but you think them. You feel them. You carry them around like a heavy chain around your neck. I can't start a business. I can't speak in public. I can't move to a new city. I can't leave this toxic relationship. I can't change my life. But where did that belief come from? Let me tell you the truth. Napoleon Hill discovered. You were not born thinking, I can't. You were taught to. Hill said something that shook me to the core. One of the most common causes of failure is the habit of quitting when one is overtaken by temporary defeat. Temporary defeat, not permanent failure. Yet most people don't understand the difference. They hit one wall and they stop. They hear one no and they give up. They make one mistake and they label themselves a failure. And so they quit. Not because they're weak, but because somewhere along the way, they were taught that failing once means you're not good enough. That's the lie. I remember when I first tried to start my own business. I had no experience, no money, no support, just a burning desire and a little bit of courage. I made mistakes. I lost money. I embarrassed myself. And you know what I heard from the people around me? See? I told you this wasn't for you. You should have just gotten a normal job. That's just not realistic. I was surrounded by people who lived their lives in fear, people who gave up on their dreams a long time ago and now call it maturity. But you know what Hill taught me? You may be hurt if you love too much, but you will live in misery if you love too little. It's the same with dreams. Yes, you might fail. Yes, it might hurt. But you'll live in misery if you don't even try. The real enemy isn't failure. The real enemy is doubt. Doubt kills more dreams than defeat ever could. Why? Because doubt works from the inside. It doesn't wait for the world to reject you. You reject yourself first. You convince yourself that you're not good enough. You talk yourself out of starting. You lower your standards before the world even has a chance to challenge you. That's the lie that keeps you poor. Not just financially, but mentally, emotionally, spiritually. Hill said, "Success comes to those who become success conscious. Failure comes to those who indifferently allow themselves to become failure conscious." The truth is, most people are conditioned to expect failure. They plan for it. They wait for it. They secretly believe they don't deserve success. And so, when opportunity knocks, they freeze. Not because they're incapable, but because they've trained themselves to believe they are. Let me tell you something you already know deep down. You are capable of far more than you've been led to believe. You have more strength, more creativity, more potential than you've ever used. But potential means nothing if you don't believe it exists. That's why Hill didn't just write about goals. He wrote about belief. And here's what he discovered. What you believe becomes your reality. If you believe you can succeed, your brain starts searching for ways to make it happen. If you believe you're doomed to fail, your brain will find evidence to prove you right. It's called confirmation bias, and it's running your life, whether you know it or not. So the question is, what are you choosing to believe today? Are you choosing to believe the lie or the possibility? Because here's the thing. Every rich, successful, powerful person you admire, they had doubts too. They had fears. They failed many times. But they made one key decision. They chose to believe in themselves anyway. They didn't wait for the world to validate them. They validated themselves. Hill called this burning desire, not casual interest, not hopeful wishing, but a fire that consumes every excuse, every doubt, every fear. He said, "Whatever the mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve, regardless of how many times you may have failed in the past." That's the weapon against the lie. Burning desire is not just motivation. It's not about feeling excited for a day or two. It's about deciding once and for all that you will succeed. Not if, not maybe, not I'll try, I will. So how do you develop that kind of desire? Write down what you want. Not just vague goals, but crystal clear targets. Decide what you're willing to give in return. Time, effort, sacrifice, it all has a price. Repeat your goal every day, out loud, with emotion, until your subconscious accepts it. Visualize the outcome. Feel it. See it. Taste it. Let it become more real than your fears. This is not fantasy. It's science. It's how your brain rewires itself. It's how you shift from "I can't" to "I will." Listen to me carefully. The world is not withholding success from you. You are withholding it from yourself by clinging to lies you were taught as a child. You are not too late. You are not too old. You are not too broken. The only thing holding you back is the story you keep telling yourself. And you can change that story, starting today. So let this be the moment you make a new decision. No more "I can't." No more playing small. No more waiting for permission. You're not here to live a life of regret. You're here to conquer, to grow, to lead, to rise. And you will, because now you know the truth, and the truth will set you free. Tell the world what you intend to do, but first show it. Napoleon Hill. Next time, we'll go even deeper. We'll talk about the habit that silently sabotages even the most determined people, and how you can install the power of persistence, the master key that unlocks every door. Would you like me to begin that chapter next? Sprosit ChatGPT's it.